Welcome to the First 40 Sports Show with the squad. It's Blackboard, Ice Water, and Puma. We're going to go to college football. The regular season is done, Ice. And what stood out to you this season? I know for me, it was the parity stood out this season. You know, you never knew from week to week the top teams who was going to fall. And what did you think about the season finales, the games that a lot of top 25 teams just dropped the ball in the last game? Your thoughts, man?
Yeah, well, we got to go directly to Columbus, Ohio. We're gonna get this right out the way. Um, and it really was just unbelievable for to a lot of people. But the one thing that really got a couple things that really stood out is if you go back, you just see how Michigan played this year, and you saw the teams that beat them and the teams that are supposed to be better than them and beat them soundly. They all passed the ball. You go back to every game. I went back and watched, looked at the stats. They used the passing to make that happen. Um, and for some reason or another, it almost seems
Couldn't
mental
understand.
for me
Yeah.
in the way that the Ohio State coaches went about it. You know, afterwards they talked about in the last so many games in the series, the team that rushed the most, had the most rushing yards, won the game. I don't care about that. You got to go with what works. The Michigan defensive line is phenomenal. They got those two ends on there that's probably number one picks, and they come after you. You can't run the ball. So my thing, real quick, is either Ohio State, from the offensive standpoint, at first they said it was windy. Oh, you can't throw the ball. Okay, look, either that quarterback was hurt or they didn't trust him. And when you're trying to throw the ball around the red zone, like they got the one interception, you're gonna always have problems. Throw the ball long. If it don't work, at least they get the ball way down on the other end. They come all the way back down the field. They scored 13 points. The defense played amazing. They were amazing. 13 points. Your field goal kicker missed two field goals. Would have won the damn game. It's just so many. They got in their head mentally. It was just they went away from everything that they normally do. And that's what they got beat because Michigan put them to sleep and put them in there the way that they play. They had them play the way they play. They controlled the situation. Michigan had my last point in this. Michigan had a walk-on guy. He couldn't even throw a pass. He had a touchdown in the end zone. He just threw it up in the air. The Jack Sawyer catch the ball and almost ran it back. The defense played impeccable. Ohio State got in their own way. They got, I don't know if they believed in the hype or whatever. Quarterback struggle. One last thing I get out of the way, I promise. That quarterback, they want to make him a runner. He is not a runner. Not. And I don't know why y'all gonna get mad at me because I'm gonna say this. Why is it that y'all think some people think that a white guy has a little mobility that he can run, but a black guy does it, Lamar Jackson, it's too much. They got in their own way. They lost the game. They got to regroup, figure it out, and move forward because they lost that from a mental standpoint. If the coaches don't believe they're going to win, the players won't either.
I want to piggyback on what you just said because I was talking to Black yesterday before the podcast, and I was saying that for the life of me, I couldn't understand why Ohio State wouldn't pass the ball. You couldn't figure out how to get to those NFL receivers that you have. And then the quarterback that could have helped you win the game, you let go to Syracuse and they upset Miami. So it was like it was some missteps even before the game, but it just seems like Black that Michigan is in Ohio State's head. And if they would have been knocked out the playoffs, I think that would have been the end of this coach's tenure at Ohio State. But I think they're still in the playoffs. But they got to win big in the playoffs and get to a national championship at least for him to keep his job.
I don't know if he's going to keep it after that, bro. I really don't know. I think, the pitchfork's been out for him for a long period of time. I didn't watch the game, but I looked at the score and afterwards, and my eyes bugged out like, what? I just I couldn't fathom or imagine that would happen. But I think realistically, I said this to you yesterday, um, Ohio State has, which when I heard this, just kind of blew me away. I guess through NILs, they have a $20 million roster. Think about that for a college football team. I guess that's what the players are earning. And I love the NIL, don't get me wrong, but I think what it's done to some of these players, and I'm going to focus more on Ohio State players, I kind of seen them throughout the season. Once they got paid and they realized, I might be going to the big league, they're not giving effort all the time, bro. They're not really out there giving effort because if you got commentators and you got scouts telling you going anyway, regardless, they're getting lazy. I see that sometimes. They're getting real lazy. So and I think about your question earlier about the parity. I love that what happened with this college football season. I think the trade, what they got, the trade portal and NIL has allowed players to go play at different places, and it's given us basically better college football games in reality. Some schools that we may not be paying attention to play some good ball from time to time. So to me, I just find it interesting where Ohio State, Alabama done lost for 2, 3 games. All these teams losing all these games, and it's like they still got a shot to win. I guess that's what happens when you open the 12 teams because, what's going to happen is you're going to have teams maybe that lost 4 games at some point have a chance to bring home the trophy. But overall, I think the season was it was good. Again, allow some schools to kind of get in there and basically battle some of the big boys and take down some of the big boys. And to me, if I'm going to watch college football on Saturday or Friday, I want to watch a game not known before it starts who's going to automatically win. So I like that part.
The other thing that happened this weekend, I want you guys to touch upon because we talked about it a little bit yesterday, is the fighting after another team upsets a team on their home field and kind of just putting the flag in the middle of the field. I'm gonna start with you, Black, because I feel that they need to outlaw this in college football, especially because the players they're gonna do their thing, but I think you should get both teams off the field. But I'm thinking about the fans because the fans storm the fields after that happens. Somebody's going to get hurt. The players got equipment on, so they're not going to get hurt. You can fight, punch all day, you ain't going to get hurt. But I'm thinking more so there may be an incident coming with this. And I know they were already fined. Both teams were already fined. But I think it needs to go farther to make sure that this doesn't happen ever again. I'm saying take the flags out and each team escort your team off the field. No more, shaking hands after the game because that's not happening. Even coaches are getting ready to fight. The Penn State coach getting ready to fight the Maryland coach. Your thoughts on it, man?
It's interesting. I thought about this today, and I hate to even bring his name up this issue, but if Nick Saban was still coaching, would that happen in Alabama?
Hmm.
Will players go outside of themselves? Just think about the years he coached in Alabama or LSU. Did they go out around themselves and act foolish, in my opinion? No. So sometimes, I understand, what could potentially happen. But to me, the coach sets the tone for what's going on. They set it. And I found it interesting when it was going on. Ohio State coaches walking on the field like, what's happening? What's happening? What's going on? Are you lost? So I'm like, to me, man, your players should understand not to do certain things. I will say this, though, about planting the flag. I think when you got a rival game like that and you're in an opposed place playing, you should be able to do that. But guess what? If you're going to be able to do it, the other team must go into the locker room. And if you don't want that to be done on your field, you win the game. But if you lose the game, guess what? It should happen. Now, that's where to me, you got to keep it safe. When they go off the field, they get off and, it happens. But to me, it makes it more challenging on the field. But what took place there Saturday was just, it was a disgrace, man. Absolutely disgrace from top to bottom.
Yeah, because it wasn't just that game. It was like several games where that happened. A lot of teams were getting upset at home. Ice, your thoughts on this, man?
Yeah, I mean, and I think you rev these dudes up, you get them fired up, and you tell them how important it is, and you think about this game all year, particularly in Columbus, and it doesn't come to play the way you want it to, and then you get mad. And then on the other hand, the visitors, they're gonna show you the flag. They're gonna try to do it. I mean, one of the things as a coach, you can be like, look, you don't need to do that because you'll cause some issues. And then, after it happens and everybody, it's like a child. When you don't tell the child what to do, and then they act all out, and then you would act like, oh, I don't know why he would do that. I don't know why he was such a bad kid because you didn't enforce anything early on. And now it's to the point where you come out with $100,000 and you slap them on the wrist, but you got to make it where they understand one why right after the game you knew how it was. Take them right to the locker room, man. And if you don't see something, then you gotta worry about it. I think you take them right to the locker room. I think the same thing on both sides. Take them right to the locker room. That way you don't have to get out there dealing with all that. Sometimes you just gotta put the law down. Now everybody don't want to be mad because people got pepper sprayed and hey, the actions was out there. They had to control the situation. So if you don't, you just gonna get wilder. It's gonna be worse. And imagine if the students was on the field.
Yeah.
Imagine if that was a home game. And I know they wouldn't have planted the flag because they were not at home, but imagine if there was a lot of things going on that could have happened, which means more kids and more people would have been hurt. And now you had a mess on your hands. They have to just do better. You have to put down either stronger penalties or you got to let them know if they do this again, here's what's going to happen, and we're not going to put up with this foolishness.
Because I can see a situation where one team is off the field, the other team's trying to plant the flag, and then some fanatical, student comes in there, and then they get hurt. So I'm like, just take the flags away. Take the flags with you when you walk off the field. Let's just end that because there's no room. You have some players that are saying there's no room for this in the game. It's ruining the game. It was a good game. You're ruining it. So yeah, my thing is to get on the coaches. I think we talked about this yesterday. Get on the coaches. Get on the players. Get on the fans. Whoever is responsible. Whoever is trying to participate in this. Let's squash this before it gets out of hand. Somebody really gets hurt or get killed out there doing something they're not supposed to be doing. Let's go to college basketball. We're gonna push Black to the side because we know he ain't watched no college basketball. But I watched a lot of college basketball, Ice, over the Thanksgiving break and a lot of the different tournaments. I mean, I was falling asleep, waking up to games. I was watching so much basketball. But what are the teams and what are the tournaments that you saw and some of the teams that are a little scary right now?
Kansas.
Those guards, they got so many guards. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's the thing about this. There's a lot of teams. One of the things I don't think I've ever seen this in a while, where 5 to 6 teams almost look identical. The way that they play, the way that they go after it, and then you go, man, how are they really better than this team? And it's almost as if on these tournaments have put these folks on point to see how good they are early on. So when you get in the conference, you kind of see what's going, how they go. And guard play is major. Um, let's see. I'm trying to think one of the teams. I think Texas A&M is a team that a lot of people are not watching. They got good guards. They have great guards, and they found ways to kind of get things done. Another team that I think is really shocking people, and it's because their size is Auburn. Auburn's a damn good team. But the question is though, it's almost as if they need to get into fights because they got into a fight the first game on the plane. They delayed the plane so they could come back and take another flight, and they end up going to the tournament and winning the tournament. There's a lot of teams out there. Kansas is big. North Carolina's trying to make a little noise. There's a lot of teams out there. I think what's going to happen is you're going to find, like last year, that there are going to be some other teams that you don't expect that's going to be hanging around, and they're going to shock the world. And I think last but not least on this point, I think Connecticut is finally finding out. Don't know, look, you're acting like the Dallas Cowboys. If you didn't play on that team, that shit don't matter. This is this year. And I think UConn is like, for real? They can't believe what's happening. Again, this is this year. This ain't last year. So y'all think y'all going to win 3 straight? You're going to have to earn it. You're going to have to earn it.
Black, your thoughts, man?
Well, as you said, I haven't watched much basketball, but I have noticed what went on with UConn, man. I did see Kansas play previously, and I agree. I think UConn is a little surprised. I don't think they have the hardware they need to three-peat. Looking at the team, the makeup, I don't think it's really there. They lost a lot of good players. The depth is not there. And the coach, to me, I think he feels it. He's kind of overreacting. Basically, he cost them one game. First loss they had, he cost them that game basically with a tech that was unnecessary. So, yeah, so they're feeling a lot of pressure. And, I think that teams now, too, kind of realize, when you tell everybody, basically, you want a three-peat, you have a big bull sign on your back, bro. Teams that you didn't even see thinking about they could beat you, going to say, you know what, we're going to give you our best, and we want to beat you. So they're stuck in a situation where it may not be good for them towards the end of the season.
Yeah, watch out for Memphis. Penny got a little something going on in Memphis, so I would watch out for Memphis. And Bobby Hurley, Coach Hurley's brother, Arizona State, they got a good squad over there too. And I was a little surprised. I think they lost 1 or 2 games, but I was a little surprised that they were able to recruit and get some good teams in there. Quick hitters, Black. What's your quick hitter?
Ooh, very quick, man. I read this before we came on, man, that the receiver that should play for Vikings, tall brother. Randy
Randy Moss.
Randy Moss, man, came out and basically said that he's dealing with something basically internally about his health and is asking for prayers. So let's keep that brother in prayer, man. We don't know exactly what's going on, but for him to come out and state something, there has to be something there.
Ice, what's your quick hitter?
Man, the quick hitter is just trying to watch how this college football playoff is going to handle, fizzle out because Oregon's number one, and you have Ohio State that lost and might drop to 8. Then you got Penn State, you got Indiana, you got all these other people trying to see what's going on. This is going to be a madhouse for the committee because the question is, are you going to do like you used to do all the time and try to make sure that it's at least as many SEC teams as possible? Or you going to go with the real deal, the teams that have really earned it with the records? So how many 3-loss teams are from the SEC are going to be able to play in the playoffs? When you have teams that are like the SMUs or also with Boise States that have won their conferences and done and put the work in, Arizona States as well, if they win, put the work in, deserve to be there, or we're gonna get caught up in the how much money you can make in the bowl.
Yeah, if they stack it by conferences, that wouldn't be right because this was the purpose of going to 12 games to make sure teams get represented from different conferences. So the 3-loss teams, that's gonna be a tough argument. But we can't argue. They expanded it to 12. We cannot argue, and whoever they pick gets in. Last second shot, Black.
To me, I want to speak to NFL owners. You guys must do a better job hiring general managers and head coaches, man. It's ridiculous. I look at the Giants franchise. Your past 2 hires of general managers and head coaches are abysmal, to say the least. Stop going to other teams that have been successful, taking their garbage and thinking you could turn into something shiny new. It doesn't work. Take your time. Hire someone with integrity and knows what the hell they're doing. Not because they worked under somebody else. Really, because you owe that to your fan base. You owe that to the city that you're representing. Hell, you even owe it to yourself. Of course, you're wealthy. But don't you want to put a good product out there? Halfway decent?
Ice, last second shot.
Yeah, I was going to talk about this, but I got to throw this out there. WNBA, awesome season, did some great things. Caitlin Clark and a lot of people were watching and got this infuse of energy. People came from that weren't even watching WNBA anymore ever came in and just had this rush of popularity. And then we come to find out that you're gonna lose $40 million. It'll take a $40 million loss this year. It's not that bad because it's supposed to be 50, but it's only 40 now. So with all that being said, y'all still buying in 40 million? How many times can you keep losing that after 20 years? Again, it comes back to I want to see how people think what the NBA is going to do here with this league. $40 million with everything that happened, even with the great Caitlin Clark. $40 million loss. Stay tuned.
Yeah, I have to give it up to Coach Prime. Not only did he walk his sons down who are seniors, and I think he can still play in the league because as soon as his ex-wife came into the picture, he kind of darted out. Like he was covering the receiver. But I give him kudos because there was a player that he had, his father was in prison, and he walked him out in his senior year to make sure that young man has somebody that cared about him. So I have to give him kudos for that. And every time you think Deion, has kind of hit a level where he can't go farther, he does something else. The other thing he did was while they were introducing his sons, he was praying. I ain't never seen a man pray that hard. I guess giving thanks that, hey, I got to coach my sons, praying over their career, praying that whatever he was praying for, you can tell he's a praying black man. And so it has served him well. We'll see you next week. Take care.